Alright, hello everyone, my name is Shep, welcome back to the Butcher Circus, and today I'm gonna be playing one of the most dreaded things that is in the Butcher Circus, which is dodge teams. Dreaded for the person that's actually playing them because they essentially don't work, that's why they're funny, but today I'm gonna be trying to change that around a little bit. I'm gonna try to make this dodge team work. So someone made a comment suggesting that I play with a full dodge grave robber, just have the maximum amount of survivability on her with all the dodge, and then you would have a man-at-arms, of course, to drop bolster, you'd have an antiquarian to drop the invigorating vapors, and then you'd have an occultist to drop Stygian embrace to make her just drop bomb after bomb of very, very powerful panic towers, but honestly, I feel like I need a bit more survivability than an occultist in the front line if I want to make this team genuinely decent, so I have decided to opt against that, and instead I am playing with a flagellant, because if you slap a flagellant on any team, it just makes a team better, right? So today I'm playing against Fire Feathers, and it looks like they have Shep Stress number 2 with the Antiquarian, but it is a weird Shep Stress, mostly because of the trinket choice. I believe they're veteran ranks, so they probably don't have all the trinkets just yet, but that means they've been grinding quite a bit. If they have gotten up to veteran with, you know, just the basic trinkets pretty much, so congratulations to them. I think I'm actually gonna start off with a punish here. I want there to be a Rain of Sorrows, and after the Rain of Sorrows I'll drop my Toxin Trickery. I could drop the Toxin Trickery first, but I'm hoping to just clear the DOT instead of dodging it, which maybe isn't the smartest move. But let's be honest, I have 78 dodge on my Grave Robber, 80 dodge on my Antiquarian. Those are very nice dodge numbers. My opponent looks at them, looks at my Man-at-Arms, which also has 40 dodge, by the way. Definitely not a confirmed hit chance. But, you know, just looks at those numbers and thinks, you know, I don't care. And goes for the punish, gets the crit on it because there's no justice in this world. I honestly feel like if the hit chance is below 70, you should not be able to crit. I know that makes accuracy even more valuable, but I think it's fair. I genuinely think it's fair. It's gonna make teams like WD have way worse time, and it's gonna make risky plays, and I don't mean risky plays like with stun resistances or with move resistances, I mean risky plays like going for a 50-50. It's gonna make them way less game-changing if somehow they hit and somehow they get a crit on top of it, which hitting should be your reward, right? Not actually getting a crit. So I could have gone for a command buff or anything of the likes, but oh, okay, that's good. I was expecting that one to hit with 2 command buffs. That was actually 150 accuracy. That's finale levels of accuracy that I managed to dodge right there, so it is working so far. Definitely so far it is. Now I have a little bit of a riposte going with the Man-at-Arms though, so I'm hoping to get, in case I do get hit, or in case they try targeting him with like Festering Vapors or something like that, they won't be able to get away with it too easily. Also, look at my backline dodge, 75 and 88, like just brutal amounts. Wait until I get a crit panic darts now, and you will be pretty much unable to hit me. With 2 command buffs, it's definitely going to be easier, but this is just something that you have to deal with. Because if you play against a damage team, they might not bring accuracy buffs, because Halo comp and like bringing Jesters have slightly fallen out of fashion. But if you play against a stress team, it's always going to have Man-at-Arms, it's always going to have command buffs, and there's a lot of stress teams out there. There's also DoD teams, which pretty much all of them have Jester as well. So the biggest problem with actually playing these sorts of teams is that you have people that just have teams that inherently counter things like massive amounts of dodge. Like, it might still be helpful here, I might still get a dodge or 2, but there's no guarantees. Another crit punish, by the way. Jesus, do you even have Crimson Hook on there? No, it just crushed Hemlock, and it's really hurting me. It's really freaking hurting me. I could go for you, yeah, that's probably my best bet. Oh, I get a crit on it, 98 dodge, there we go. Yeah, that's very helpful. That means that he's dropping down to 0, right? He's taking 12, and then this counters the blight counters the regen, and then does 1 point more, so yeah, he's definitely taking enough. The Flagellant hasn't really taken enough damage to save the Abomination here, so you might have to go for a guard, or even with another regen it will not be enough to save this Abomination from dropping down to 0, so things are coming up Shepherd Doggy, I will say. Most definitely. I will drop yet another Invigorating Vapors. Hopefully the dodge works this time, but there was a bolster this time around instead of yet another command buff, so the command buffs will kind of run out here, but you know, there's still plus 40 accuracy. It's so much, it's so much. Should command be nerfed? I don't know. I feel like Invigorating Vapors should be buffed. The idea that I did for Invigorating Vapors when I did like those series of videos for reworking the Butcher's Circus when it was down was that Invigorating Vapors should give you a permanent team-wide -1% crits received. And permanent meaning like a battle buff, and you could still spam it, right? So if you went up to round 10 just spamming this over and over and over again, which probably won't happen, but if you do somehow manage to make it happen, then you'd get quite a sweet reward out of it, which would be, you know, just basically not getting crit anymore by abilities like Festering Vapors, Beast Spile, Punish. You just get crit a hell of a lot less. That's kind of the idea here. Now, one problem that I do have is that my Man at Arms is dropping down to 0, and I also don't get to go first with him, so that's unfortunate. But should I go for the yeah, I'm gonna go for just a Retribution here. Maybe try to do some... oh no, not a Retribution. Yeah, let's go for a Bell, or maybe even a command buff at this point, just to give myself some accuracy. I feel like that would be nice here. I might need the accuracy. Let's do this. The thing is, if you only hit into the Man at Arms here, you have a 25 to kill, and you also have a 25 to oof yourself. If you do get the kill first, you will not oof yourself though, of course. There's no riposte after a character dies, which is kind of sad. It would be really cool if it was like that that one ability from Call of Duty World at War, where in the multiplayer you could... wow. Look at this, by the way. Yeah, in the multiplayer, after you die, there's this one called Martyrdom, where you dropped a grenade after you died. It was a really broken ability. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Ran it every time, got so many free kills with it, because people were expecting it, but even if you were expecting it, it was still really strong, just dropping a free grenade. But yeah, back to the Butcher's Circus. I guess there was Tiger Finger, and I guess, you know, there was a crit, so... yeah, the stun chance was definitely likely. It was a 55, but you know, just enough things, I guess. Goes for the punish. Nice dodge, I love it. I absolutely love it. I finally get a dodge here with the Man at Arms. 45, like that's a very decent amount of dodge. 45 dodge, that's more than a Jester with the usual amount of dodge he has. I don't even have a freaking dodge trinket here. It's just Bolster and Invigorating Vapors, and it works. This is not my first match playing with this team, I might add. I played against like an apprentice person. It was kind of a close match because it was also a counter matchup. They also had command buff, and they also had all these nasty things. But it is pretty cool to see that you genuinely do not need all the meta stuff to actually make this team work. You can make the team work even without having that those sorts of shenanigans. I'm thinking of actually clicking here first, but at the same time I'm also thinking of just dropping a Panic Darts. 91, huh? Maybe I could just focus you down a bit. Yeah, let's maybe focus the Flagellant down a bit. That's usually the famous last words, but I'm gonna see if I can make it happen here. Because he doesn't have Call to the Absolution, so he's not as scary as he usually is. I kind of want to click my Flagellant as well before I go for the Invigorating Vapors, just so I get that extra little bit of dodge there. You know, it could make a difference. Probably not, but it could make a difference, especially since my opponent was silly enough not to actually drop a, what do you call it, a command buff, so now their hit chances are definitely not guaranteed. Most definitely. They might be thinking of going for Exsanguinate here, but let's be honest, it's 90 accuracy into 30 dodge. It's a 60 to hit. Yeah, it does hit. There's no kill. Like, the last match I played, it was a 20% just got the instant death on my Flagellant, so thankfully it's not that. There is a little bit of justice in this role. It would have been very lovely to see a Flagellant dodge there. I thought about bringing Glass Breath Collar. I genuinely considered it. It would probably be a better move because you'd get an extra 20 dodge while at this store, and I mean, if you have Bolster and Invigorating Vapors, then you might as well go for it, right? Yeah, probably would have been a good idea, but you know, I kind of need the snuff for the survivability because the antiquarian isn't giving me any survivability in terms of regen, she's just giving me dodge, which is good, it's definitely good, but it's no regen, so I kind of need to reclaim on the flagellant if I do want to win against those damage teams, and, you know, even other teams if I want to stay alive for a bit longer. Come on, men-at-arms, 11, okay, not bad. It's definitely stacking up, she's starting to feel it. Most definitely. Should I go for accuracy here? I don't feel like I really need it. I'm gonna go for the flagellant again. Yeah, I'm gonna make the flagellant drop right back down to 0 here, whether he wants to or not. And yeah, I'm definitely... am I gonna go retribution? Or am I gonna go for the command buff? I do want it too, so it would bring him down. Don't bring me down. That's the second day in a row that I'm singing that song. I don't know why that's happening, but let's just do this, get him rapturous. Maybe an act out or two will happen. We all know that rapturous is a buff, but maybe today is the day that changes. Maybe, just maybe. Is this match a guaranteed win at this point? I don't know, I feel like it's definitely in my favor because my grave robber just complete pristine condition. I mean, just look at her, 98 dodge. I can get her up to 108 now if I drop an invigorating vapors. I probably won't. I'll probably just drop another panic darts here because now at the regen I kind of have to, and make the flagellant go down to 0 still. So you will be forced to drop a heal with your minus healing skill, so it's really not going to be that good. Yeah, not good whatsoever for my opponent. Am I dropping down to 0 here? Oh crap, I actually am. No, I can just wait a little bit though, I don't really mind. Let's drop in invigorating vapors. Come on, go exsanguinate again, I dare you. Oh, okay, there's 2 command buffs this time. Very unlikely that he'll miss. It could happen, he could still miss, believe it or not. Even with, how much accuracy does he have? Like 130? Yeah, he could miss this, he could miss the exsanguinate. I've had those miss, like a 90 hit chance. I've had the 93% hit chance exsanguinate miss. I'm sure you've heard all about it. I rant about it every single time I have the opportunity to do so, and of course there's a crit on it. It would be really freaking cool if Invigorating Vapors did just what I said, like minus 1% crits received for the party each and every single time you use it. It wouldn't be broken either, like, yeah, it's a nice buff, but it's definitely not broken. It's very, very far from broken, I feel. It'll just be quite nice to have it around, I think. That's just my opinion. And there was also a counterpart to it, which was the Doggy's Cry Havoc. I think I changed its stats around a little bit. I changed it from being just 10 dodge. You know, the Invigorating Vapors only had that change. I think the Cry Havoc did something else differently, but it also did plus 1% crit chance for all characters for the battle. So if you just manage to use Cry Havoc over and over and over again, you would have a hell of a lot of crit chance by the end of the match, which is generally pretty freaking cool. Would you use it? I'm not entirely sure if you'd be able to use it, because, you know, if you want to go aggressive and get crits, you probably don't want to spend like 10 rounds dropping Cry Havoc. It's probably not going to work out too well for you. 0 damage, oh, that's so good. 1 Bellow debuff was actually enough right there. That's unbelievable. Usually you need 2 Bellow debuffs and a lot of protection, but not this time, I guess. Yeah, just not this time. That's very freaking helpful for me. I'm thinking of just being super aggressive here. Do I want to go for the super aggression? Yeah, let's go for the super aggression, right? Let's go pick to the face and to exsanguinate. I might miss the exsanguinate. If I do, I will yell there is no justice. I will most definitely yell that, but, you know, sometimes you gotta take risks. Sometimes you gotta show the world how freaking stinky Exotic Snuff is. And let's see, is it today that it's a stinky bozo? Is it? 86? Oh, 86 is a 20. And yeah, that's over. No chance for my opponent anymore, sadly for them. This team is generally competent. It's not the first time it's being played. This team generally, obviously had existed in the past already, but I think it was played relatively differently. It wasn't played like, you know, like full dodge, yeah, spam that Invigorating Vapors. I don't think it even had it. But I like it. I generally like it. It's not that bad. It's super freaking troll. It would honestly do well against things like WD. Maybe things like Hit Squad, Sonic Special, like all those damage teams that have zero freaking accuracy. How do they deal with this? How do they deal with the Grave Robber? They can't. Like, if they have Caltrops, then maybe, if they have Caltrops, they might be doing a little bit of bleed, which, you can't really dodge at the start too well. Or at all, honestly. But other than that, like, Arbol has 110 accuracy. Oh, come on, man. Seriously. Arbol has 110 accuracy, Crusader has like 100. All those characters are like around the 100 mark, and your characters are around the 80 mark, so it's a huge freaking difference. Just absolutely ginormous, and all you need to do is drop like 4 to 5 panic darts and the character dies. So if you just get a few of those off, if the match is like round 8, you would guaranteed eliminate a character from the opponent's side against one of those damage teams, because they don't have really any way of saving them. So if you manage to do that, you should pretty much just have a confirmed win, because an anti-crane with this amount of dodge at the end of the match, like, you just can't do anything about it. Same thing with the Grave Robber, you literally cannot do anything. You can just miss over and over and over again. Unless you get really freaking lucky and there's no justice in this world. That's how things could be not so bad. Not so bad for the WD and those sort of related teams. You might be wondering, Shep, why are you going for the punish? Why are you risking the death blow again? For content, obviously. Come on, don't you know me already? Me risking the flash on being at this door. Does it work? Yeah, he's gone. It's okay. It was for content, alright. It was for the content. It came with a crit heal on my mana arms, because, that's fair. That's perfectly fair, right? And yeah, I'm not gonna complain about that whatsoever. Let's go for a retribution here. Hopefully get a crit for the accuracy. Nah, it's fine. I was hoping that the battle debuff would make her do 0 damage to my flash, but apparently that trick only works once. So the flash one is now gone, but honestly with the backline that I have, yeah, it's gonna be very difficult. Let me be honest, if this was just Shep Stress number 1 that I was playing against, and if it had like the normal trinkets, I think this match wouldn't last more than a couple rounds, because if you just use command buff like twice and you start spamming Rain of Sorrows, you only need to use it twice. Your accuracy is already up to 135, which is pretty much a 50-50 against either of these characters. Even if you only hit one of them with that 50-50, you still have an amazing crit chance, and as you can see, my team didn't really have too many ways of keeping these characters alive. Sure, the Flash wants there to drop Reclaim and eventually drop a Redeem or two, but is it really enough to stop Rain of Sorrows and Houndsary? Probably not. A lot of Houndsaries would be spammed because I do have Repulse Mana Arms here, but even then, what's likely to happen is the Flashlight gets disrupted because of the slam. It's a 50-50 if there is a net, so there's always the possibility of that happening, and if that does happen, where was I going with that? If that does happen, you won't be able to really use the repulse too well against like the enemy abominations, wearing Beast Spell and all that. And as we all know, he has Wretch's Cloak and the knit. That's lots of plus accuracy with the command buff. So if you run against pretty much every single stress team that has the command, if it's well optimized, kind of like unlike this one, I do think you would lose this matchup. I think you'd also lose against DOT, but you know, that's just the trade that you have to make for a very, very good matchup against one or two damage teams. You are basically just gonna have terrible matchups against everything else, apparently. You also have a horrible time against something that would... Wow, okay, thank you, Antiquarian. Against something that is seldom played, but you'd have a terrible time against like a cultist with Eerie Eye, because he could spam his pull over and over and over again on the Grave Robber, since she's actually in position 3, so that's usually something you don't want to do with your Grave Robber. Put her in position 3, because if she gets pulled, she can't really drop a Panic Darts, and she just has to drop Shadow Fade or move back. Which, you know, Shadow Fade is great, but if you get hit again while you're still stealthed, you know, what can you do about it? You can just cry and complain, I guess. Another thing that could happen is a shield breaker with the Eerie Eye and just dropping puncture after puncture on your Grave Robber, and those are definitely annoying. I think J-Man played that like 2 days ago or something in the likes, so it would not be a fun time to run into that, because it would just be pull after pull after pull. You know, even with all the bad things that I've mentioned about this team, I should stay focused on the positive, which is just dodge shenanigans. So if you like dodge teams, this is definitely the one for you. Is there a better dodge team than this, just running these 4 characters? I honestly really like the way they're set up. I just threw them together, kind of, just, you know, just threw them together, thought, ah, you know, this looks good, this looks good. Yeah, just bring double dodge here, bring this, riposte. Yeah, riposte should be nice. And it ended up making a pretty nice team, quite a novelty, I will say. So, like, if in some tournament, or if you are making friendly matches with your friend and you have some interesting rule set going where you can ban like accuracy buffs, like, you know, imagine the Jester and the Man at Arms are both banned, then you wouldn't be able to play this team because I have a Man at Arms here, but instead you'd have something something a little different. Wow. Just completely gone, destroyed. Was that a 5% with the repulse? I think it was. Well, it looks like there really is no justice in this world, but yeah, if Man at Arms is banned, you wouldn't be able to play Man at Arms, but if like Jester and Flagellant are banned, then people probably wouldn't play these stress teams too much, because without Flagellant they feel kind of odd. It could still happen, but at least you'd have to not worry about. But if Flagellant's banned, you also can't play it. I don't know what I'm saying. It's just that you want to ban things that kind of counter this team, but if you do that, you also ban yourself, so it doesn't really work all that well. Having a Man at Arms here, my next best choice would probably be like an Abomination. And this does work because usually the problem with running Abomination Flagellant in positions 1 and 2 is that the 3rd character gets pulled and then the 4th character gets pulled. But these characters have Shadow Fade and take cover, so they're renowned for being able to move back quite swiftly. So this could definitely work, but you're gonna miss out on bolster, so do you really want to do that? I don't know. Anyway, if you have any more suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Hope you all enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you again another time. Cheers.